Hi guys, welcome back to Tech Samadhan. In this video, we are going to understand what is encapsulation and abstraction in Python. So, ever wondered like how banking apps secure your data or how software hid the unnecessary details or the simplify use? That's where the encapsulation and abstraction come in. These two powerful OOP concepts help in hiding sensitive data and keeping code clean and secure. So, we will explain encapsulation and abstraction in Python with some short code having some real world example and best practice. So we will dive into understanding what encapsulation is and what abstraction is. Before it, these are the technical definition for encapsulation. You can have a look over it. Though it's not easy to understand, but yeah, this is for encapsulation, and the below one is for abstraction. And how are we supposed to have some the like the private members, the protected members. We are going to cover this all concept in the uh, video. So this is all just an technical information for you all. So now we will move towards an encapsulation. So what is it? We have a look towards the code. So hope you have saw whatever all these comments is in the code, but couldn't understand it or couldn't get what this definition is telling us. So we will have some small example why encapsulation, why we are learning encapsulation. So imagine like you have a like during our childhood days we would have a piggy bank. So imagine we had that one, and you don't want anyone to take your money directly, right? Instead, they have to ask you to put in or take out money. So there where we played encapsulation long days ago. So your piggy bank has a little opening, which are nothing but methods or functions we can say in technical perspective. But no one can touch the coin inside. So that are the private data we had. So this is a code where we don't have an encapsulation, which is a bad practice. So there are some code ethics whenever we write a code in big tech company, big organization, that they provide us the coding ethics which we need to adhere and write our code. Since I knew because I definitely work in some of those companies, so there are some coding ethics which we won't understand at the lower level, but at the higher level we definitely needs to follow one. So this is how we don't write an code without an encapsulation. So this is a bad practice first of all. It is not following the ethics. So this is without the encapsulation. So this is like leaving the piggy bank open, and inside can anyone take the charge or change the money inside it. So here, this is our class keyword bank account. Then here, what is it? So it's the constructor. This balance public attribute, which is a balance which we wanted to keep safe in our bank. Nobody should see it or modify it. But now here, without encapsulation, anybody could modify it anywhere. Now account, this is the what we created an object for it. And this, what the bad is here, we are directly modifying the sensitive data without taking permission from the authorized user. And hence, the balance would be now, we are going to remove the 500 rupees. So definitely the balance would be now 500. So it's not possible in the real world. Anybody couldn't handle the balance. The problem is the balance is not protected. Anyone can change it to anything, even negative values, which I'm sure, pretty sure, which is not a case in the real world and it should not be. So anyone can modify the balance directly, and we can see here. Now there is a negative balance. That's bad. Next step shows the right way using encapsulation. Next step will show how that encapsulation will help us. So this is how the private variable are created. We use here underscore. Now where is underscore? If you don't know it, you need to press the shift and on the keyboard after 0 we need to hit that button twice. So that is underscore. So this is how the private variables are declared. You can see here self dot balance. This balance can be accessed by anyone. It can be changed, like it can be modified. But as soon as I'm declaring it as a private variable, it cannot be accessed directly. So our balance is now protected. Okay. Now this is how our balance is protected. Because in the above we directly change balance to any value, even negative value, which is wrong. But here we can't. Now the below example is using getter setters. So if anybody knows Java, they would understand what getter setters are. Now we'll see how getter setters are used to access our private data. Here we cannot access our data. Here it will give us the attribute error. So how should we access that private data, this balance? So using getter setter. So class is created, constructor is invoked, double underscore. So this is a private variable. Now here we are keeping a getter method. To read a balance, we are using getter method. So see here, and setter method with validation. So what does this mean? To update balance safely, we are using setter method. Here we are creating our bank account and account dot set balance. So here we are trying to modify the balance safely. Cool. And this is not allowed. The negative one is not allowed. Invalid balance amount. And here is how the balance is updated. Because we gave the 500 rupees there. So the balance is private as we saw here because it is defined using the underscore. So it cannot be changed directly. We use get balance and set balance to control how balance is updated. So imagine your piggy bank is locked now and you can see your money, but you can't take it out directly. Instead, you ask your parents, which are nothing but acting there as getter and setter, to do it for you. This way, they make sure you don't take out too much or put in fake money. Hope you have understood this explanation with the piggy bank. And what does this mean? That these private variables which we declared here or here also, this cannot be accessed outside class. That should be kept in mind. Now getters help us to, these are the getters. So we are accessing the private variable here, but in a well organized manner. So it allows us to read the private attribute getters. And what does setter allow us to do? Modify private attribute but with validation. We can modify it. So it must be, so here if we are using the if condition to make sure that the balance should not be negative. That's why this gave us the error, self dot balance amount, and we need to enter the proper balance amount there. So encapsulation ensures that sensitive data is accessed securely. So we will try and see how this program works when it's run. Now first it provided us the attribute error. Why? Now here what we were doing, somehow it was correct that we are creating a private variable so that it can't be accessed outside the class. But we are trying to access it here to see the balance. But we can't do that for because private variable can be accessed using getter setter only. Getter help us to access it using a validation or proper method to access that private variable, and setter method allows private attribute with validation that we can modify them. So that gave us the attribute error. So we will just for time being remove this code and Again, try to run it. Now see here. Now this is how our first code ran. Without encapsulation, it ran minus 500. We entered, and now it is giving us balance 1000. So it's wrong. Now as we move forward, it first provided us invalid balance amount. For what? For this. For minus 500 we were entering because of that if loop. And so when we entered positive 500, the total balance updated is 500. And here we are, uh, we are handling that private variable declare using getter setter. So we are handling them with validation. So encapsulation ensures that sensitive data is accessed securely. There must be some security. So does this means hiding internal state and behavior of an object and only limited interference to outside world. Private and protected modifier. So why we require the limited interference we saw here. Anybody couldn't touch our balance using heterosetter and if there is an encapsulation. Now we will have a look for an abstraction. So this is the definition we can say for abstraction. Now moving forward, hope you understood the encapsulation. Now this is the code for abstraction. So see what does this all says. So it is not easy to understand if we just look at it. So abstraction we can think it is like a TV remote. So when we press button, the TV changes channels or adjusts the volumes. But you don't need to know how the remote work inside, right? What is the mechanism, where the current flows. We don't know that. So that internal implementation detail is hidden by the outside world in technical perspective. So you only use the buttons to perform action. So similarly, in Python or any OOP, abstraction hides complex code inside a class, and we only use necessary functions. So here necessary functions are nothing but the buttons to interact with it, with that code. So example, without abstraction, that is also a bad practice. So I haven't just provided it here, but that is a bad practice. Definitely, we declare some class, or I can show you here. I can show you here example without abstraction. So we'll declare some here class, and inside that class only we will define functions, and user can see all the internal state. So user does not need to know all step to for that specific thing. So what does this means now? So this is the first method, start car. So car is starting here. It will not directly start. Basically, it has some uh, internal logic functioning which we don't see. So what does it? We can say check battery. This is not that much easy, but yeah, we can just uh, guess how that car will work. Then some sending. So we don't see this. We just ignite it. That is what how the button we press. So that is what function will help us. We just ignite it and we just uh, clutch, remove it from neutral and we just start it. Then the car will start. But what is we are doing here? We are going to see all the internal implementation. So user does not need to know all the steps to start car. It should be simple. Just press the button and start. So this is how abstraction helps us. That is also not a proper code ethic. So example with abstraction now. So here what are we doing? Basically we are implementing abstraction using ABC. So it is abstract base class. So this is how we import some libraries in Python. So we are importing abstraction tools. For now on easiness, it is an abstraction tool how it or a syntax to implement abstract class. Now class definitely a blueprint or a plan, sorry, or a plan how our car must be there. And how does it work? They are basically an object. Now what is the concrete class is? Now what does this pass will tell us? Now this function start engine, this should get implemented in its child class. Now concrete class is nothing but must implement the abstract method, or we can say an actual implementation, since it's the child of the above class. So this is how the actual implementation would have here. Now we created a car which is a child, and here what does this means? In the child class, that method should get implemented. So this function should get implemented in its child class. So our child class for here is the class car. It is getting implemented start engine started. Now we are not, as seen here, we are not seeing all these steps. We are just implementing we are just implementing that method, and we are starting the car. If we try to create object of this, of the vehicle class, it will give us error. We can't instantiate abstract class. So what does instantiate means? We can't create object of abstract class for easiness. Of the child class we can create. Now car is equals to this car and start. So user just see car is starting. We are not seeing the internal implementation. So the complex process of starting car is hidden from users. That's why abstraction is useful. And user just call this start method without worrying about how it works. So all just keep it as it is. We can imagine it also. You want to play a game on your phone. You just tap the app, open it, but you don't know the million line of code behind it. No, right? That's an abstraction, hiding internal implementation detail, hiding the complex stuff, and showing only what you needed. So two concepts we understood. One is encapsulation and one is abstraction. Encapsulation means what? We are showing that much only of details to outside world which are needed, not entire detail. If we show, then it would definitely hamper us. This is what does technically it is mean. Hiding internal state and behavior of an object, and only limited details we are showing it to the outside world. An abstraction is concept of hiding complex implementation details and showing necessary features of an object. So we are hiding here the concept of about how it's work internally. There we are not hiding that thing. So we will see now how this two can get implemented in a single code. So this is example where we have used encapsulation as well as abstraction. So this is owner, which are us, which is a public attribute. This is private attribute. Now definitely uh, we are using getter setter to do that remaining part uh, to help us. So encapsulation will hide sensitive data. Definitely, this is hiding the sensitive data. An abstraction defines general structure, bank account class for different account types. It will just define a general structure for different account type, not that internal implementation, how that lines of code work. We just, if some money is credited, it will get added up to our balance amount and we'll get the total. We don't know the lines of code again here. So this is an example here. Using this, we are ensuring the we can say encapsulation. Here we are using the getter setter to access the private variable but with validation. And here we need to create another class which will only seen which can act as a concrete class as we saw here, concrete class which has implementation of abstract class and which will only be seen to the real world. So encapsulation protects data and abstraction ensures a proper structure. So best practice for encapsulation is we need to use private variables to protect sensitive data, getter setter to access that private variables in validation manner and modify them. Using abstraction is what ABC abstract base class to create reusable blueprint. So we created this class and then we go on creating the blueprint of it. What we need to do in abstraction, there is a principle called list privilege where we only expose necessary things. So summary of that I will share in the detail. So that's it. You understood what is abstraction and encapsulation. Two key concepts for securing and organizing your code. We will dive into interfaces and in Python, which is advanced OOP, we can say. So if you found this helpful, hit like, subscribe, and comment Python OOP Master if you made it to the end.